How did a country with no great rivers, no vast oceans, no abundant natural resources, become one of the wealthiest and most beautiful nations on earth? The answer is not in its cities, not in its banks, not in its chocolate, or its watches. The answer is hidden in valleys so narrow that the sun only reaches them for a few hours each day, in villages so remote that winter cuts them off from the world for months. This is Switzerland, but not the Switzerland you know. Across the Swiss Alps, people have built homes where life was never meant to survive. Villages clinging to vertical cliffs. Hamlets with no roads. Communities with no electricity. Again and again, humans have chosen to live on the edge of oblivion. And nowhere is that clearer than in the stone villages of the Swiss Alps, where people didn't just survive the mountains. They learned to thrive in them. Stay with me. For the next hour, I will take you to 7 villages that most tourists never see. I will show you a 300-year-old bread oven that still feeds an entire community. A valley with 72 waterfalls. A village with no electricity, where people still live the old way. And I will ask you a question. Would you live here? Let's begin. Sonogno, 40 kilometers north of Locarno, tucked into a valley so narrow that the mountains seem to lean toward each other, as if conspiring to keep the outside world out. The road here is not for the impatient. It wins. It climbs. It forces you to slow down, as if the village itself is testing whether you deserve to arrive. When you finally get here, the first thing you notice is the stone. Everything is made of stone. The houses, the walls, the streets, even the roofs, thick slabs of stone shingles, layered like the scales of some ancient creature. This is not a choice. This is survival. These houses are called rustici. Traditional stone homes built centuries ago by people who had no other material to work with. No wood. No modern concrete. Just stone, and the determination to stay alive. The walls are nearly a meter thick. In winter, when the temperature drops to -20 degrees Celsius, those walls keep the cold out. In summer, when the sun finally reaches the valley floor, they keep the heat in. They were not built for beauty, though they are beautiful. They were built to survive. Look at them. Do they remind you of anything? Fairy tales? The 7 dwarfs? Snow White? There is something about this place that feels like a story. Except the story is real. And the people who live here are not characters. They are the last of a dying way of life. Sonogno once had hundreds of residents. Families. Children. Life. But over the centuries, the young people left. They went to Locarno, to Bellinzona, to Zurich, to places with jobs, and schools, and futures. Today, only a few dozen permanent residents remain. Most of them are elderly. I asked one of them why she stays. She looked at me like I had asked why the sky is blue. Where would I go? She said. This is my home. My mother lived here. Her mother lived here. The stones know my name. That is Sonogno. A village where the stones know your name. This oven was built around the year 1700. Over 300 years ago. Every day, the villagers still come here. They bring their dough. They bake their bread. The same way their great-great-great-grandparents did. The smell. I cannot describe it. Smoke and stone and something ancient. Something that makes you understand why people still live this way. I bought 2 loaves. 15 euros. The bread was still warm. The crust cracked when I broke it. The inside was soft and slightly sweet. It was the best bread I have ever tasted. Not because of the ingredients. Flour. Water. Salt. Simple things. But because of what that bread represents. Continuity. Tradition. A community that still gathers around the same oven that has fed them for 3 centuries. Would you live here? I asked myself that question as I walked through the empty streets. I love this place, but not for a long period. The Verzasca River runs through Sonogno. It is one of the clearest rivers in the entire world. I knelt down and put my hand in the water. It was cold. So cold it took my breath away. The kind of cold that reminds you that you are alive. That cold is why Sonogno survived. The same snow that isolates them in winter feeds this river in summer. Life and death, held in balance by ice and stone. The water is so clear that you can see every stone at the bottom, every pebble, every grain of sand. There is a metaphor here. Something about clarity. Something about how, in the simplest places, you can see the truth most clearly. But maybe I am overthinking it. Maybe it is just a beautiful river. From Sonogno, we drive west. The road follows the river. The mountains rise on both sides, their peaks still holding snow even in summer. An hour later, we arrive at Foroglio. If Sonogno is the village that time forgot, Foroglio is the village that nature never let go. You hear it before you see it. A low thunder that vibrates in your chest. The sound of millions of liters of water falling from the sky. Then you turn a corner, and there it is. Cascata di Foroglio. A waterfall that drops 110 meters, 360 feet, from the cliff above. The water splits into two streams as it falls, like silver ribbons unraveling in the wind. The village sits directly below it. Stone houses huddled together as if seeking protection from the force above them. I met a woman here. She runs a small shop selling bread and cheese. Her family has lived in Foroglio for 7 generations. "Are you tired of the waterfall?" I asked her. She laughed. "Tired? The waterfall is why I am here. It is in my blood. When I travel to Locarno, I cannot sleep. It is too quiet. I need the sound of the water." She told me that in winter, the waterfall freezes. The water becomes ice. The sound stops. And the village falls into a silence so deep that some people cannot bear it. But then spring comes, she said, and the ice breaks, and the water returns. And we remember why we stay. Look at these houses. They look like they belong in a fairy tale. But they are not fairy tales. They are survival machines. The roofs are made of stone, not because stone is beautiful, but because snow slides off stone. In winter, the snow piles so high that wooden roofs would collapse. Stone roofs do not collapse. The windows are small, not for privacy, but to keep the heat in. The doors are low, not for charm, but to prevent the wind from howling through. Every design choice was made not for aesthetics, but for survival. And yet, somehow, the result is beautiful. More beautiful than anything built purely for beauty. There is a lesson here. Something about how necessity creates art. How function becomes form. How the things built to keep us alive become the things we love the most. I asked myself again, would I live here? The woman in the shop told me that tourists come and fall in love with Foroglio. They dream of moving here, buying a stone house, living the simple life. They stay for 2 weeks, she said. Then they leave. The silence is too loud. The winter is too long. The isolation is too real. She was not angry when she said this. She was not bitter. She was simply stating a fact. This life is not for everyone, she said. But it is for me. I looked at the waterfall, at the stone houses, at the old woman with her bread and her cheese. And I thought, maybe the people who belong here are not the ones who choose it. Maybe they are the ones who cannot imagine leaving. From Foroglio, we drive deeper into the mountains. The road narrows. The pavement disappears. Gravel and dust replace asphalt. This is Bavona Valley, one of the most remote places in Switzerland. And one of the most unusual. Some houses here have no electricity. No power lines run to them. No generators hum in the night. When the sun sets, these houses go dark. The only light comes from candles and fireplaces. I asked a man who lives here how he manages. Manage, he said. My grandparents lived without electricity. Their grandparents lived without electricity. We do not manage. We simply live. He invited me into his home. It was warm. The fireplace crackled. A pot hung over the flames, something cooking inside. The walls were stone. The floors were stone. The ceiling was low, the timbers blackened by centuries of smoke. "This house is 400 years old," he said. "My father was born in this room. His father was born in this room. Someday, my son will be born here too." I asked him if he ever wanted to leave. He looked at me for a long moment. Then he pointed to the window. "Look," he said. I looked. The valley stretched below us, green and wild and completely untouched. No hotels. No restaurants. No roads. Just mountains and forest and the river running through it all. "Why would I leave?" he said. "The Bavona river runs through the valley. Like the Verzasca, it is clear. Like the Verzasca, it is cold. But there is something different about this river. Something wilder. It has not been tamed by bridges or dams. It flows the way it has always flowed, fast and free and dangerous. In spring, when the snow melts, the river floods. The valley becomes impassable. The villagers are cut off from the world for weeks. We prepare for it, the man told me. We store food. We store firewood. And then we wait." "Do you ever fear the floods?" I asked. He shook his head. "The floods are part of life here. They are like winter, like summer, like the sunrise. You do not fear them. You accept them." That is Bavona Valley, a place where people have accepted that nature is not their servant. It is their neighbor. The houses here are rustici, the same stone homes we saw in Sonogno and Foroglio. But here, they are even more primitive, more authentic, less touched by the modern world. Some of them have no running water. The residents carry buckets from the river. Some have no heating except the fireplace. And yet, the people I met were not unhappy. They were not longing for something more. They were content. There is a word for this in German. Gemütlichkeit. It means coziness, but it means more than that. It means a deep sense of belonging. A feeling that you are exactly where you are supposed to be. These villagers have Gemütlichkeit. They do not need electricity or internet or modern convenience. They have their homes. They have their families. They have the mountains. And for them, that is enough. When I arrived in Lauterbrunnen, the weather was not kind. Fog hung over the valley like a blanket. Thick. Impenetrable. The cliffs that should have risen 300 meters on either side were invisible. The waterfalls that should have thundered from the heights were silent. I could hear them, the water falling. But I could not see them. I waited. 20 minutes. 30 minutes. The fog did not move. I thought about leaving. About coming back another day. About giving up. But something told me to stay. To wait. To be patient. And then, slowly, the fog began to lift. First, the cliffs appeared. Grey and wet and impossibly tall. Then, the waterfalls, one by one, revealing themselves like secrets finally told. The sun broke through the clouds. The water caught the light and turned to gold. I stood there for a long time. Just watching. Just breathing. This is Switzerland. It makes you wait. It makes you earn every view. And when it finally gives you the gift, you never forget it. That is the secret of these mountains. They do not give themselves freely. You must prove yourself worthy. You must endure the cold, the fog, the rain, the isolation. And then, only then, they show you what they have been hiding. The fog taught me something that day. That patience is not passive. Waiting is not wasting time. Sometimes, the greatest reward comes to those who simply refuse to leave. Lauterbrunnen. A name that means many springs. And it is fitting. 72 waterfalls cascade from the cliffs that surround this valley. Some are thin ribbons of water, barely visible. Others are thundering curtains that shake the ground. The most famous is Storbach Falls. It drops nearly 300 meters, almost 1,000 feet, from the cliff above. The water does not hit the ground as a solid stream. It atomizes into mist before it lands. On windy days, the mist blows sideways, soaking everything in its path. I stood at the base of the falls and looked up. The water seemed to fall from the sky itself. From heaven. This is what people mean when they talk about the sublime. A beauty so overwhelming that it borders on terror. The village of Lauterbrunnen sits at the bottom of this valley. Small, quiet, almost medieval. The houses are traditional Swiss chalets, wooden, with flower boxes on the windows and painted shutters. But there is something different about this place. Something that sets it apart from Sonogno and Foroglio. Lauterbrunnen is not dying. It is thriving. Tourists come here. Hikers come here. Paragliders jump from the cliffs and float down to the valley floor. The village has hotels and restaurants and a train station. It is connected to the outside world. And yet, somehow, it has kept its soul. There is a cave at the base of the cliff. I do not know what is inside. I did not go in. But I stood at the entrance and felt the cold air pouring out. The air from deep within the mountain. It smelled of stone and water and something ancient. Something that has been there for millennia, waiting. I thought about all the people who have lived in this valley. The ones who came before. The ones who will come after. And I realized that Lauterbrunnen is not just a place. It is a conversation between humans and nature. A conversation that has been going on for thousands of years. The waterfalls speak. The cliffs listen. And the people, the lucky ones, get to be part of it. From Lauterbrunnen, I took a train up the mountain. The tracks cling to the cliffside. The valley drops away below. At the top, the world changes. This is Mürren, a village that sits at 1,650 meters, 5,400 feet above sea level. Above the clouds. There are no roads to Mürren. No cars. No buses. The only way to reach it is by train or by foot. The people who live here carry their groceries up the mountain. Their furniture. Their building materials. Everything comes by cable car or by hiking trail. And yet, they stay. From Mürren, you can see the Eger, the Monch, the Jungfrau. 3 of the most famous mountains in the Alps. They rise above the valley like white giants. Their peaks are covered in snow year-round. Glaciers flow down their flanks like frozen rivers. I stood at the edge of the village and looked out at the mountains. The air was thin and cold. My lungs burned with every breath. This is what it means to live on the edge. Not just physically, but existentially. To wake up every morning and look at the mountains and know that you are small. That nature is powerful. That your life is a gift. The people of Mürren understand this. They have always understood it. A short walk from Mürren is Gimmelwald. An even smaller village. Even more remote. Only about 100 people live here. They are farmers. Homesteaders. People who have chosen to live outside the modern world. Their houses are old, some of them 500 years old. Their barns are filled with hay and cattle. Their fields are terraced into the mountain slopes. I met a young man in Gimmelwald. He was in his 20s. He had grown up in Zurich, but moved to the mountains 5 years ago. Why? I asked him. He pointed to the mountains. Look at that, he said. Would you leave? I looked at the mountains. At the glacier. At the sky. I understood. Gimmelwald and Mürren are different from Sonogno and Foroglio. They are not dying. They are not struggling to survive. They are thriving. Not despite their isolation, but because of it. People come here to escape. To find something they cannot find in the cities. Peace. Silence. A connection to something larger than themselves. And the people who live here, the ones who were born here, they welcome the visitors. Not because they need the money, but because they want to share what they have found. There is a generosity in these mountains. A willingness to open doors and invite strangers in. I think that is what happens when you live on the edge. You realize that we are all in this together. That the mountains do not belong to anyone. That we are just passing through. I have traveled to many places. I have seen many beautiful villages. But there is something different about these Swiss mountain communities. They are not museums. They are not tourist attractions. They are real places where real people still live the old way. And what I really learned, is this. The people who live here do not stay because they have to. They stay because they want to. They could leave. They could move to the cities. They could have electricity and internet and all the conveniences of modern life. But they choose not to. They choose the cold winters, the isolation, the hard work of surviving in the mountains. They choose it because the mountains give them something that cities cannot. Silence, clarity, a sense of belonging. In our modern world, we are constantly connected, constantly busy, constantly distracted. We have forgotten what it feels like to be still, to be quiet, to simply exist in a place without needing to do anything. These villagers have not forgotten. They wake up, they work, they eat, they sleep, they watch the seasons change. They watch their children grow. They watch their parents age. And when their time comes, they are buried in the same ground where their ancestors are buried. There is a wholeness to this life, a completeness. I am not saying it is easy. It is not. The winters are brutal. The work is hard. The isolation is real. But the people who live here would not trade it for anything. Would I live here? I asked myself that question at the beginning of this journey. And after visiting these villages, after meeting these people, after seeing these mountains, I still do not have an answer. Part of me wants to stay, to buy a stone house, to learn to bake bread in a 300-year-old oven, to wake up every morning to the sound of waterfalls. But another part of me knows that I am a traveler, not a monk, not a hermit. I need the world. I need the chaos of cities and the noise of crowds. So I will leave. I will return to my life, to my computer and my phone and my modern conveniences. But I will not forget. I will not forget the old woman in Sonogno who said the stones know her name. I will not forget the man in Bavona who pointed to the mountains and asked why he would ever leave. I will not forget the young man from Zurich who traded everything for a view of the Eiger. They taught me something. They taught me that there is another way to live. Slower, quieter, closer to the earth. And even if I never live that way myself, I am grateful to know that it exists. That somewhere in the Swiss Alps, people are still living the old way. Still baking bread in ancient ovens. Still listening to waterfalls. Still watching the fog lift and the sun break through. And that is a comfort. A strange and unexpected comfort. Switzerland did not become what it is despite the mountains. It became what it is because of them. The mountains created a people who are resilient, patient, independent. The mountains taught them that nature is not their servant, it is their partner. And the mountains gave them something that no city can give. A sense of belonging. A sense of home. The harshest landscapes produce the strongest people. And the most impossible places make the most beautiful homes. That is the lesson of these villages. That is what they have to teach us. So the next time you feel overwhelmed, the next time you feel lost, the next time you forget what matters, remember Sonogno. Remember Foroglio. Remember the people who still live in stone houses, and bake bread in ancient ovens, and listen to waterfalls as they fall asleep. Remember that another way is possible. That the old ways are not gone. That somewhere, in a valley you have never heard of, people are still living the life you dream about. And maybe, just maybe, that is enough. My dear friends, I thank you for being with me on this journey. For walking through these villages. For listening to these stories. If this video touched you, if it made you think, or feel, or dream, please subscribe to this channel. Every view, every comment, every share, helps me discover more hidden places like these. More villages that time forgot. More people who choose to live on the edge. And I want to bring those stories to you. So subscribe. Hit the notification bell. And I will see you on the next adventure. Peace to the whole world. With respect, Sebastian.